Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is another Hollywood celebrity dropping like flies.
They're dropping like flies.
Listen, people are dropping like flies out there.
I am
Boop.
pissed off.
We're dropping like flies around here.
We're dropping like flies here. Jeez, sir, 2 more just went down. Dropping like flies.
Too many people around here been dropping like flies already, and where's that getting us, huh? Nowhere. Fast.
Biden's being Biden's being extremist.
Crush that fly.
A lot of things were coming up today. Like it's a big morning. My wife and I was showing her stuff today that people were sending me on Instagram. That I checked out the New York Post, and there were these multiple stories. I'll get into the Island Boy announcement, Fly Soja. You'll see that in a moment. And, that's a big one. But there's all this other stuff. I want to start here with Hunter J. Biden. Hunter Biden broke the law, Democratic Rep Jim Hemis says. So the Democrats are starting to turn on him. And here's the bigger issue here. DOJ tries to jail key Hunter Biden witness Devin Archer on the eve of congressional testimony. So this is just a new level, which I've been noticing for the past week. I really think it started with a congressional hearing on censorship where they're saying you really don't have a First Amendment anymore, and I'll get into the details of that tomorrow on my other channel. But here it is, where they are just out and out jailing people who are going to testify against Hunter Biden. Like that's the level of protection this guy is getting. He's an admitted criminal because he was purchasing crack and hookers, and he talked about that in his book. Like he's, engaged with criminal behaviors and all these things with drug dealers and the rest of it. Longtime illegal drug user. And so here's what it says here on Fox.
With me now is the journalist that broke the news on Devin Archer's testimony, New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. It's good to see you, Miranda.
You too, Guy.
All right, so is this actually going to happen on Monday? Because my understanding is these conversations, these interviews, and the expected testimony has been deferred on multiple occasions. Will we finally hear from Mr. Archer next week?
Yes, look, I believe so. I know that there was a lot of toing and froing and dates put up over the last 2 weeks. And
Okay, so apparently they haven't been able to bring this guy in. This is before the arrest stuff. But this is how bad it's gotten. With the Biden administration and the mainstream media, they've reached a new level of thumbing their nose at you, where they know that they're not going to be any consequences to whatever's going on. They can do anything without consequences. Like this is what I was talking about with the seagulls just coming in and stealing people's food. Like the seagulls realize that we're a bunch of bonus holes that aren't going to fight back. And that's the level of understanding from the powers that be. It happened with Bill Clinton years and years ago when he got caught with an 18-year-old intern in his office. And every other time before that, the guy would have had to resign, the president. He disgraced the Oval Office and all these things. And he just said, no, I'm not going to quit. Trump did the same thing, and he was president. He said, I don't care what you guys got on me or not. I'm just not going to quit. And then there's just been levels of this going on where they just throw the stuff in your face that there's no rule of law, there's no checks and balances, and you can't stop us from doing what we're about to do. And I'll show you that throughout this process here today. The other piece of this, let's read this thing here first. Madonna says she feels lucky to be alive after hospitalization. The Queen of Pop was forced to postpone the launch of her international tour after spending several days in intensive care unit due to serious bacterial infection. And then she posted this on Instagram. There she is with her, weird, messed up face. Even with filters, it can't fix it. Love from family and friends, and the best medicine 1 month out of the hospital, and I can reflect As a mother, you can get caught up on the needs of your children. Come on. Come on. And the seemingly endless giving, but what the chips, when the chips were down, my children really showed up for me. I saw a side of them I never seen before. You mean they were actually there to prop you up like Madam Expiration Date always needs? It made all the difference. So did the love and support from my friends. If you zoom into this picture I am holding, you will see a Polaroid. I guess that's here. A Polaroid taken by Andy Warhol of Keith Haring wearing a jacket with Michael Jackson's face painted on it. That helped you heal, did it? That Andy Warhol picture of Keith Haring wearing with a jacket with Michael Jackson's face painted on it. Is that what did it for you? That's brought you back to life? A perfect triangle of brilliant artists who touched so many lives, including my own. She had to drop some names. I sobbed when I opened this gift because I realized how lucky I am to be alive and how fortunate I am to have known these people and so many others who are also gone. Thank you, Guy Sari, for this gift. And thank you all of my angels who protect me and let me stay finished doing my work. I think you're confusing the word angels with demons. But, it's just semantics. We got a pretty good tape of this. Cardi B throws microphone at concert goer, toss drink on her on stage. And here it is. So she's, they keep on playing the music that she was lip syncing to, and she's not lip syncing anymore. It almost looked a little bit fake. I think it's probably fake, but whatever. The Bron posts video of son Bronny playing piano, looking comfortable at home. Here it is here. It's just a matter of whether they're going to come out and say what it really happened to him. And he won't. LeBron's so owned and so, he's such a shill for the beast. He won't say it, but we all kind of know. Brittany Griner forgoes 2 upcoming road games to focus on mental health, team says. So there's the front page today. There's this story here we'll get to in a moment. And these 2 stories. And Hunter Biden all on the front page of New York Post. So let's start with this here. Kim Bagula visits Bill's training camp in first public sighting since cardiac arrest. Remember, she was she's 54, I guess. She is, here coming back to the Bills training camp. She had cardiac arrest either right before or right after Damar Hamlin. So here she is coming to the Bills facility for the first time. So there was a couple of cardiac arrests for the Buffalo Bills last season. And I think it was like a week after or something like that. There's Josh Allen going up to say hi. So she's sitting here in a golf cart, right? Cardiac arrests everywhere. You get a cardiac arrest. You get a cardiac arrest. You get a cardiac arrest. Daughter of 2-time Super Bowl champ among 4 dead in separate crashes during air show. So that happened. Again, a lot of weird accidents as well. So they have cardiac arrests and bizarre accidents. Canadian prince's suicide after alleged bullying for his whiteness and CRT training sparks investigation. A Toronto school board and an education minister, that's critical race theory, announced they are launching investigations Thursday into professional developer training after a former principal died by suicide following a lawsuit in which he alleged emotional distress from anti-racist trainings and the fallout that followed. He was a 60-year-old guy who was a principal, who was white, and they must have targeted him before his white privilege in Canada. And, he couldn't take it and killed himself, and now, that's happening. Suzanne Summers puts work on back burner after facing cancer again. I think she's had cancer quite a bit.
I love aging. The older I get, the better it gets, the better I feel. I like the way I look.
Yeah, no one believes that.
I do have some wrinkles. I don't care because it's not so bad because of what I do. So if you want some tips on what I've done to create an atmosphere about aging that is positive.
Okay, but what about the cancer?
Then here we go.
Okay, so she's doing some modeling here. But you know, she's got cancer again. Amanda Bynes checks into a new mental health facility amid ongoing struggles. Maybe she just should have like a timeshare somewhere. Okay, so this happened. So many people are sending me this. I want to get this out as quick as possible for that reason.
And I'm a top. I'm never a bottom. I'm a top. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that, for real. You gotta support me because you feel me. I like men, and that's just, it is what it is. I'm a top. But I'm a top at the end of the day. That's just what's going on.
Okay, so he's really insistent about being a top. I mean, that's, you know, he's not capping. No capping. He's a top. Don't ever forget that he's a top. You know, he made out with his brother, which I thankfully didn't have to see because people, sent me the picture instead of the video first. Had I just seen the video, that would be a hard one to clean out, right? The two twin brothers making out. But now it's come out that he is a top. The only thing I would say about this is it kind of makes sense in one way. Another way, they're so desperate for their cameo money and to stay relevant. Like, they can't put out any new annoying music, right? They had their one thing. And so now they have cameo, and then they have to do things that are outrageous to stay relevant and become, members of the news. So, who's to say with these guys? Like, they're like really stupid grifters. Speaking of coming out, like, people have said that there's some sort of agenda, pro-gay agenda in Hollywood and the woke culture stuff, which we see more and more prevalently now. It's in your face feminism and all these other things. But it's always been there, right? And you can see it, there's old movies that I see on my movie channels that I'll watch a little bit of. Like, I haven't seen in years. I, barely remember them. And there's a Rob Lowe, Demi Moore movie called About Last Night. And I remember it sucking. But I, saw it was on and I watched the beginning of it. And this was like basically the opening scene. And it's so hilariously boop. Like,
all right, no stick now, no stick.
That second baseman has got a really nice ass.
I refuse to go out with a man whose ass is smaller than mine.
Really? That would be pretty scary.
so let's slow that down here. So they're playing softball without gloves on. And Rob Lowe makes really a lame catch. He spikes the ball. They do the gayest high five of all time. Then Jim Belushi jumps up in the air, pats him on the ground, and then they're like, yeah, we're real manly men. Yeah. Look at us, we're manly men. Yeah. I mean, this stuff has always been there, right? Let's watch it again. Boom, catch, spike the ball. Yeah, look at our manly dance. Yeah, manly man dance. Yeah. There it is again. Demi Moore, they're watching. They're really paying attention to this game without gloves. Spike that ball. Yeah, say 5-5. Yeah. Manly man, yeah. We did it, yeah. Okay, so that speaks for itself. Rob Lowe and Demi Moore in this excellent piece of cinematic history. So I wanted to start with this. This was, to me, the big story today. One of my viewers sent me this. This is a guy named Metal Leo. Every store is closed on Market Street in San Francisco. So this is a follow-up to something RFK Jr. said. and that Market Street is like Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. And San Francisco is a nicer city than New York. And it's a huge tourist town. And watch what he's going to show you here. This is a homeless guy, right? There's lots of homeless people right here in the, where the wealthy area right near City Hall, like down by that, downtown San Francisco, right?
Right here in the corner. This used to be a Burger King.
So there's a Burger King right here.
Closed. Let's see if we can check out the front.
So a Burger King has gone out of business in downtown San Francisco.
Yeah. Burger King. Have it your way. Yeah, that in the corner used to be a Chase Bank.
So Chase Bank, like I've talked about, Chase is like the king of evil banks. They had the most derivatives. They had the most influence. Jamie Dimon is the big sort of banking, Darth Vader, right? So Chase Bank is, like a big one. And that closed. Then right here.
And that's the Whole Foods market that recently closed.
So remember, my wife reminded me of this. Whole Foods closed because people are just going in there and stealing. They couldn't, and they were scared for their employees' safety. They didn't want to be opened at night. So this is downtown San Francisco, the nice area. The guy's going to go to City Hall, but they have all this, and they have these wealthy stores that used to be there, Macy's kind of stores. All the big. They have the famous cable cars here. All this other classic San Francisco stuff. This is very high-end commercial real estate, right? And the guy just goes through it. It's a 12-minute video, and, I only watched about half of it. And it's just all these places. Now, think about Whole Foods closing in San Francisco. Like, Whole Foods and San Francisco go hand in hand, right? Everything that stands for. I really dislike L.A. when I went to L.A., but I was in the Silicon Valley area. I was, I saw the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever it is. My kids and I went for a walk when we went to the ashram there in Fremont, California, that's close to San Francisco and that whole area. And years ago, I did some research and was thinking about moving, was looking at different cities to live in. This is when I was in my early 20s. And San Francisco was one of the premier destinations. I just heard all kinds of good things about it. People went there. And now it's an absolute pit, right? It's just, they can't keep anything open because of Gavin Newsom's policies. And this is downtown San Francisco, where would be the highest level of real estate, right? Everyone has these downtown areas that they want to, bring around and make into destinations for people. And people are already there. There's all these people there now, but after COVID, all these stores are closed. So these were people used to go to these places, and now they're boarded up. Most of them, it's not like anybody wants to be there in terms of, it's a dead city area, and all these iconic businesses have closed there, and they're just, and it's just now a pit, right? And that's Gavin Newsom's policies, and to me, if they don't run Jojo Magoo, they're going to run Gavin Newsom, who is, I think, hated in California, and he's just an annoying ass clown. And this is what he did, right, to one of the, best cities in America. And now it's the criminals that are just running rampant there. There's no rule of law. I mean, I've covered that before, the violent criminals and, people getting mugged and, this whole area. People are flooding, and rich people are leaving California and New York in droves. And this place is, I don't know where it was here. Maybe I can find it. There's cops here. Somewhere along the line, there was a park ranger. Anyways, there was a park ranger in San Francisco. There's multiple cop cars and things. I mean, the place is where it used to be a vibrant, downtown Manhattan, but nicer, is now a ghost town of commercial real estate and homeless people, right? Okay, so this is Christine Lagarde. looking very dudeish. And one of my viewers sent me a video I'm going to get to. It's the third video I'll show you here. She used to be in charge of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which is like basically the world's central bank. Now she's in charge of the Bank of the European Union, the Central Bank of the European Union. And first she had this to say, which is a very common thing that you see. You hear this all the time when you tune into, I was watching a TV show last night, and there's all this stuff where you can just see that men are idiots and women are solving problems, right? Like men are, bumbling, foolish idiots. This is pretty much every new TV show. I was watching something on Apple, Invasion. And all the women are standouts. There's like a lesbian couple and they're standouts. And there's a woman whose husband's cheating on her and she saves the family and, all these things. But she says this here.
I have noticed time and again that when it's bad, you call women to the rescue. Or as a former central bank governor said to me from an African country, she said, the men go to war and the women pick up the pieces. And there's a little bit of that in leadership and in business.
So what's happening here, and I would agree with that domestically, right? Women hold the family together, which is really important. Like, I'm not minimizing women's role. I say it all the time. The mother is the most important role in society. And so I'm not against, this idea that women have some level of superiority to men. And, personally, I'm just sort of an underachiever. I don't care. I'm not, I don't have some personally, I'm a man and I'm offended by this because I don't care. But this agenda that they're pushing out there, and they say it over and over again, and, that men suck and women have been oppressed by them, and, everybody's been oppressed by men and white men specifically. That's not a solution, right? There's some truth in that, right? But it isn't, taking responsibility for you and your situation personally and your group or your demographic, because everybody's contributed, right? And do you have any solutions? And right now, there's no solutions. Things are just getting worse. And she's coming in and saying this, but, she also said this.
I'm not impressed by cryptos. As I said, I see them as liabilities more than assets. I respect that people want to produce speculative instruments. If they're prepared to lose it all, that's fine. I'm very concerned that it's seducing young people who don't really understand what they're getting into.
So she's been against crypto. There's multiple speeches and things she's given trying to tamp down crypto, right? But then she changed her tune. This is from, I believe, March. And then a month later, she completely changed her tune.
Don't want Europe to be dependent on an unfriendly country's currency, the Chinese currency, the Russian currency, the whatever. For instance, in the Netherlands, they're quite happy to see the e-euro coming. Ask a young German, he'll say, yeah, fine. I don't want Meta, Google, or Amazon to suddenly come up with a currency that will take over the sovereignty of Europe.
The problem is they don't want to be controlled.
You know what? Now we have in Europe this threshold above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail.
You go in jail or fined for spending more than 1,000 euros in cash, right? You buy something for $1,000 and you pay cash, and you're fined, but she's against cryptocurrency.
Digital euro is going to have a limited amount of control. There will be control, you're right.
So they're going to have a digital euro. She's going to have a digital euro in October this year, or that's when they're going to decide on it. But she's against crypto, but they're going full digital, and they won't let you pay cash, right? Things have changed. Now, there's been inflationary issues. Things are just more expensive, and people have adjusted to that. They buy less or whatever's happening. There's other economic issues. Things have closed. Things that used to be able to do are no longer there. But it's like boiling the frog stuff. It's not knockout blows, right? You know, I saw two bumper stickers. One said, Joe Biden owes me gas money. Another one says, if you voted for Biden, you owe me gas money. And there was another bumper sticker which I saw, and the person had it said, if you disrespect the flag, you've never been handed a folded one, meaning when your family member dies in a military service, they hand you a folded flag. Which again, I understand why the person thinks that's accurate, but it's, these sentiments are right-wing sentiments, and people don't know how far it's gone, like how bad it is. And it's far beyond Joe Biden, obviously we know that. He's just a, senile puppet. And, I'm not a flag person or a patriotic person. I think we've always been an evil empire, and we are what we are, right? I've accepted my part and role in it, like my contribution to that, because we all contribute to it. But this person talking about the flag, this bumper sticker, people who are in the left, liberal people, Democrats, and, they're actually more war hawkish than the Republicans used to be, right? They're not ever going to see that they're not going to feel anything, right? Like that bumper sticker is supposed to evoke emotion of, the fallen soldiers. And most people in America don't care about that anymore. There's no sense of an idea of, that's the way the military industrial complex built up these, the patriotic element of being a pro-war, pro-veteran country. Thank you for your service, right? Like if you see anybody go on Shark Tank, they'll say I was in the military, and then everyone on Shark Tank will go, thank you for your service, all the sharks. But they don't care about you. They won't hire you, right? Nobody wants people who've been trained to kill working for them. I mean, the majority of people don't want veterans working for them. Veterans have trouble finding jobs. Everybody says they want that, right? Everyone pretends. It's just this ode to the military-industrial complex. But they just throw you away. My brother had said to me that he was in Vietnam, and he said that when you go into the military, there's an idea that you're giving up your rights because you're now really a slave. They order you to do things you don't want to do, starting with basic training and all the way through it. They psychologically manipulate you. It's a psyop that they run you through in basic training, breaking you down to build you back up. I had friends who went to Paris Island, became Marines, and they talked about the psychologically, them just messing with you. Like two guys, if you've ever seen Full Metal Jacket, they said that was an accurate portrayal, but it's even worse than that. And so they bring you into this situation where you're risking your life with the idea that once you're out of the military, they're going to take care of you. There's going to be a pension, there's going to be money, there's a VA, all your health care needs are going to be there for you. And they really don't. They forget about you. In a generation or so, depending on how people view that war, and if the war is viewed as a failure, if you come back as a hero like World War II, a little bit different. But the war since then, Vietnam, we lost Vietnam, the Iraq and Afghanistan wars have turned out to be a sham, and people don't respect that, right? And they don't think of those people as heroes, even though they risked their lives or whatever. And it was never for your freedom. Like fighting for your freedom means fighting for your lifestyle. That to keep our lifestyle going, we need these wars. RFK Jr. said the CIA's central job is to start these wars, right? And so people just don't care about any of that stuff. These bumper stickers you see and these attitudes people have, we're just so far beyond that, right? In terms of the disrespect and hatred between groups. And, RFK Jr. saying the Democrats decided that everything that Trump liked, they would dislike. What are you in, like, third grade? That's the most immature way to do things, that anything Trump was for, they were against. And you've seen this over and over again in politics and, the division amongst people and the slow erosion of our lifestyle. And, they have a pacified group of people. We know it from the Seagulls. We know it from, pretty much everything that they're putting out there. They're just saying things out loud now, and people just start eating them and accepting them. because there's no opposition. There's just words. There's people trying to wake each other up. There's people trying to influence people on the internet, but there's no real action. There's no plan to do anything. There's no way to stop it, either in terms of politics or business or boycotts or any of these things. They just started to roll out this agenda. It started in 2015 when they unleashed Caitlyn Jenner, and they had that bathroom bill, and corporations suddenly backed something that the majority of people were against, and it should have killed those corporations, right? Like what's happened with Bud Light recently, but it didn't. And you were considered a villain if you didn't go along with this agenda, and people were confused. They didn't know what to do, and now it's just full blown, and it's already established. Even though the majority of people, they got the young people. The young people are on board. They don't respect their parents, and the old ways have disappeared, even in our generation. And the old ways weren't great anyhow, right? It wasn't like we were ever rocking it. This has always been a materialistic, anti-God, anti-spiritual, anti-soul system, right? They cater to people's Christian beliefs and their families at first, but they were breaking up the family. They were pushing for women to work and pushing for daycare, even though they were saying, oh, we're pro-family, we're pro-God. And so even when the Christians were running the country, they were pushing this agenda, and they just had ways of getting people to buy into it. More and more divisive type of, like all the screens, all the cell phones, all the computers, all the multi-streaming platforms are divisive, right? Years and years ago, I went to a Jiffy Lube, and this is like probably 10 years before I had a cell phone, and I think I hadn't been on the internet yet. And I was waiting for my car to get, finished. And when I got there were 3 young people in college age, and they were sitting kind of near each other, and they were same age, but they were on their cell phones typing away with their thumbs. Like, I hadn't really seen that, right? I didn't know what it was. Like, I'd heard of texting. And I was like, are they together? Like, there's no way they're together because they were not aware of each other. Like, there was no way they were interacting. There was nothing that was show that they were together interacting. And their car was done, and they got up and they walked out together. I was like, wow. They were sitting there in a social situation. They're all talking to other people on the cell phone, on their cell phones, which of course now is very common. And then yesterday, or 2 days ago, my wife and I were looking at something, and I saw a headline that said fubbing. And I was like, you know what fubbing is? She's like, no. So we looked it up. It's a combination of phone and snubbing. And, they now have a term for it. But their social interactions have broken down because of the devices. We know that, and it's happened long ago. So all these things have come in. We have 5G, and it has whatever effects on our health and our spiritual makeup. And the Whispers of the Brighter World messages from the Sajmark system. It talks about electromagnetic pollution disrupting people's subtle bodies, the energetic bodies that make up your physical body and things like this, connected to your soul. Your causal body is your soul, and then there's these other subtle bodies, the manus, the mind, and the chit, consciousness, and ego, and all these things that are there that make up your psyche, your persona, and these things. And that 5G disrupts this, like on a energetic level, because it's an energetic form, a waveform, right? And so there has been an erosion of things, the family, the health of people, and I mean, we know that young people are more chronically ill, and all these things. There's a weakness of character, and people just aren't natural anymore, and they don't have a support system, and that's all been there. It's like the slow drip, the boiling of the frog. And now they're just come out and announcing stuff. They know they can just say, we're going to do this, and you're not going to like it, but who cares? You can't do anything about it. Like that's where we are right now. I'll cover this more on my other channel tomorrow. But it's just there, and it's been there. It's more prevalent. It's more in your face now, but it's always been there. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day, and be grateful.